going on YouTube? So today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be basically talking a lot about distribution, but I've already done videos about how to get distribution and why relationship you need to build it, whatnot. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about how that kind of ties into your overall business. Um, I want to start off by saying that a lot of people have a misconception right now that if you don't have allocation, then your business model is impossible. I know it's discouraging for a lot of people because it is so difficult to get an account, and even once you get an account, it is very difficult and takes a lot of time to get allocation. This video is going to be about how that constraint can actually help make your business stronger, um, right? So basically, this constraint forces adaptation. Okay, that's partly or a huge part of how I attribute my business has been stronger and growing more stable is because I don't have that kind of crutch right now to just rely on, right? Um, so in a weird sense, I guess you could say not getting Pokemon allocation has been one of the best things for my business right now. So let's kind of break down this conception of right now people think it's a horrible time to start a Pokemon TCG business, right? Um, I'm not going to say that it's bad. I'm not going to say it's great, right? There's pros and cons. If you started in a slow time, sure, you can get an account. Sure, you can get allocation. But you are getting it because people aren't really buying it all that much, right? So you can buy all this product, doesn't mean you can sell it. Um, but that's a way to build your business during those times, right? And you have that relationship, and then now, when things are tough, if you've built that relationship up, right now you're going to be sitting comfortably compared to everybody else, right? Um, Now, let's flip that around right now. Right now is tough time, right? It's tough to get an account. It's tough to get allocation because it is so popular, right? So if you are starting, like me, I started in 2025. If you're trying to start one, maybe you started one recently, or you're thinking of doing it here now in 2026, yes, there's going to be a challenge in getting anything. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a business get started and be successful. I am just over 1 year into my business, and I am finding success despite the fact that I don't have allocation yet, right? So I attribute this idea to an easy market hides weak business structure, right? A tough market right now, and by tough market, I don't mean tough to sell. Right now, for those of us that are starting, it's tough to break in and get stuff to sell, right? And so it kind of forces a lot of operational discipline. So one of the things that I've talked endlessly about in my videos has been forced diversification, right? I can't, I want item X, I can't get that, so I will buy item A, B, C and try to sell those, right? We've discussed that. The other thing it forces you to do is really focus on your sourcing. So, myself, and I would imagine most card shops, and if you're in the business, you're probably doing the same thing. You really have to focus on how do you source, right? So, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time going onto the singles side of it, but a lot of card shops, and I'm sure many of you are going to say, well, sealed is so difficult to get. Let me go for singles, right? And so maybe that's a way that you can get started, and that's something that you really kind of streamline, right? I'm still trying to streamline that process. I don't have it really optimized yet in terms of getting singles, having the time to scan them, figure out the program, and identifying them, and get that linked over into Shopify. It's not something that I've done, but that is a route that a lot of people go in lieu of getting sealed product, right? Um, if you only chase Pokemon, right? So if your goal is I need to get allocation because I need Pokemon or my business fails, then your business is not stable, right? You need to be able to survive the waves, right? Like right now we're on a very long, big wave. But what if we had multiple waves of perfect order, right? What if that were to go 3, 4, 5 sets? I mean, that's happened before, right? That's what before. I mean, if you've been around for a minute, take for example, Evolving Skies. Nobody wanted Evolving Skies back then, right? That was considered like a trash set. Everybody said, "Oh, you need to get, Brilliant Stars. Like that's going to be the one that you should get." And look what's happened, right? So if we had multiple releases of a set that is not very popular, and the only thing that you move is Pokemon, your business may be in trouble. So because I don't have allocation yet, I had I was forced to figure out how do I move other things, right? This is where accessories kind of come into play. They are a lot more important than you think. It's not just okay, here's some accessories. It's something I can get from distribution. They're relatively unlimited, so I can move those, right? Let's talk about this. Let's break it down. They move a little slower, right? How many binders does somebody actually need? That's not where the real strength of it is. Okay, you have access to it. Access is not necessarily very tight, right? There's a lot of binders, a lot of card sleeves, a lot of top loads and things like that. Margins are much better. Um, it doesn't create hype, right? No one's hyped for an accessory, but it creates stability. Now, this is how I've really leveraged those items, right? Distribution wants to sell them, so I buy them. How do I move them now, right? So that becomes the next issue. What I've done is bundles, okay? Bundling to help move slower inventory. If I have a product that people really want, say for example 151 bundles, Ascended Heroes, ETBs, right? If you create bundles and create perceived value for your customers, you can increase your average order value and move that inventory, right? And it goes a little bit deeper than this, okay? Say, for now, no hate on anybody that wants to, be a business that deals with discounting and moving high volume at very low margins, right? It can definitely work, right? That's not what I'd like to do, but I'm not knocking it. It's just not my thing. Now, when you're using accessories and creating these bundles to create value, right? So yes, maybe you're asking a little bit more, but you're giving them good value with it. It can help create better quality customers. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, every now and then I have a big buyout of product, right? And I'm looking at the email and I can see it's a business email. And so I'll look it up and I'm like, oh, it's another card shop, right? So I check them out, and a lot of them, it's usually they're completely sold out of that particular SKU they bought from me, right? And they're buying, all of my stock or a huge chunk of it for that particular SKU. So what they're doing is basically they are trying to fill in a gap on their inventory, right? Or maybe my price is such that they can buy it from me and still be able to sell it where their market is at and have some profit on that. Right now, there is value in having something in stock. So what happens now? I'm out of stock. They're in stock now, right? And so maybe they tacked on a little bit to make margin from what they bought it from me from. Now traffic and ads and whatnot, because I'm out, so I'm done now, and maybe they're starting to get the sales. So yes, I made a sale, I made revenue, but that was an opportunity buy from them, right? They're probably not coming back for me to continue to buy. If they bought 10 ETBs from me, potentially that was 10 customers that I could have reached with my product, with my brand, with my experience, that now I'm not going to be able to reach because all 10 went to this person, right? So back to bundles. If you bundle a lot of your items, you can potentially attract a higher quality customer. Because say now it's a collector coming in and saying, oh, hey, that's really cool, right? They're selling um, the whatever ETB and it's got the accompanying binder to go with it. That's really cool, right? So that's a perfect way to start my set. Versus someone else, say someone that's just trying to arbitrage your product on their website, their business, whatever it is, coming in and like, well, you know what? I just want the ETBs. I don't want all those binders, right? That's not really value for what they're trying to do, but that's probably not a customer that would be long lifetime value for you anyways, if that makes sense, right? I would rather have 10 individual sales that I have to pack up and individually wrap and fulfill 10 boxes and 10 different labels, but it's 10 different customers than one customer who bought all 10 just to resell it, because that's not necessarily a customer that's going to come back to me, if that makes sense, right? So the bundles are a little more strategic, right? It's going to help you target a customer that has better lifetime value, that if you're providing them a great experience with a great product at a great price with perceived value for them, they can have some brand loyalty to you for that and come back and buy again, right? So it's not just about moving inventory and generating revenue, but it helps build a healthier customer ecosystem, right? Um, One of the traps that you need to watch out for when you're trying to do this now, right? So say, great, you're buying these products and you're trying to move them so you can increase your relationship with your distributor. Be careful of discounting. This was something that in the beginning, early on in my business, I thought, hey, like this is great. I have margin on these, so I can buy it and let me discount them and try to move them so I can order more. So it didn't really generate a whole lot of profit, but I created some movements. And again, no hate on anybody whose method is low margin, high volume, right? If that's what you're going to do, great, go for it. Um, that's not what I want. That's not my experience of doing. So that's not what I'm going to speak about. So if that's not what you want to do, then this part is, for you. What I realized was when I was doing sales, heavy discounted sales on these kinds of items to create movement, um, I could see, okay, great, the sale generated revenue, but then after the sale, you see it kind of flatline, which is normal. But what I realized over time, and that's what I'm going to share it with you now, so you don't have to, lose so much revenue and discount so much on your margins. What I found was I was essentially training my customer base, don't buy outside of a sale, right? Um, if you come in and everything is normal, regular retail price, don't buy any of those items. Just wait. A sale will be coming. It'll be massively discounted. And then you buy, right? So I was training discount behavior. And if that, not saying you can't ever run a sale, right? But I was doing it regularly to create movement. I thought, oh, okay, movement. Look, I have all these binders. Let's discount and move. Right. That's a legitimate strategy if you need to liquidate because you need the capital. That's a whole different story. I have a video about cash flow. That's separate. What I'm talking about here is uh, creating customer habits and expectations for your brand. Right. If I wanted to be a premium brand, and by premium I mean, great customer experience with fast shipping and superior shipping quality and protection. If I'm relying on discounts to move product, then I'm kind of at odds with the brand image that I'm trying to have, right? So just be careful of that, right? If you're going to be discounting a lot just to move these products, you can reorder and build relationship. Um, you may inadvertently be hurting your brand by training customer expectations to be different than what your business is trying to be. Um, Now that relationship with your distributor, again, that kind of becomes very important. during market swings, right? Don't look at set releases. You got to look at the swing of the market. When things are really slow, if you stop supporting your distributor, right? You're like, well, it's slow, so I'm not buying this, I'm not buying that. Oh, hey, this is getting popular again. Hey, yeah, you know what? Let me get a bunch of cases of that, and let me get all these, right? They're going to remember that. Um, if you are selectively supporting your distributor, then they're going to be doing the same thing to you, right? It's like the stores right now that are getting product, they're the ones that were supporting distribution when the market was slower, right? They were still supporting that distribution's business, supporting their catalog. So now that the tables have flipped, distribution is now supporting those stores, right? So that's why relationship becomes very important um, through market swings and cycles, right? Don't just look at one release like, oh, hey, well, you know, I had a bunch of pre-orders. I had, it was like $50,000 of pre-orders for the new Pokemon set. Okay, cool. But if that's all you really interact with, they see that and say, okay, well, when that means when the market for that is down, you don't buy anything else from me, so you're risky, right? Because if that's the only thing that your business can support, you can only move and flip the hottest product. That does not help me as a distributor because I have 1,000 other accounts lined up that can do the exact same thing, but only 10% of those accounts also move all these other products. Those are the ones that they want to support. So those are the ones that you want to be. All right, just remember, relationships with distributors are built over cycles, not just releases. Okay. Um, Now, this ties into your customers, right? Distribution provides product. Your customers move that product. If you don't have sticky customers, right, and by that I mean loyal customers to your brand that are interacting with you continuously because you provided that perceived value, that experience, that great product, if they're not coming back, then you're fighting every time. Every time you do a reorder of more accessories, every time you do a reorder of some new product or something outside of the hottest stuff, you're fighting to try to get that to move. Versus if you're developing loyal customers because of all the aforementioned things that you've been doing, then they're coming to you. You already paid ads to get them, right? And now they're coming back without the ad and they're moving the product for you that you need to move so you can reorder with distribution, right? And then they see, look, they're reordering SKUs over again. That must mean there's natural movement happening. They look like a real stable retail business. That's the loop that you want to have, right? If you're constantly fighting for new customers and you're having to spend money on ads to get a new customer, they only buy from you once and they're gone in the wind, well, you're hurting yourself long term, right? So keep that in mind, right? That's why all these things kind of tie in together. Um, the other thing is right now, when times margins on Pokemon are much better than obviously when the market is down, so utilize that as your opportunity, right? Use those margins to expand other categories right now. That's what you need to be doing. Um, so, for example, for me, I take the money that I'm making from selling Pokemon and I developed other categories. One of them, for example, being is a TCG called Cookie Run. For those who may not know, it is based off a phone app. Right, it started in Korea, relatively niche, but it is growing in popularity. Um, but it's still very small. Don't get me wrong, right? But I said, okay, well, let me try supporting this game. So I took money that I made from Pokemon, used that to buy a couple booster boxes of Cookie Run, ran some ads on that, saw some movement, reordered more, and then now that's really started kind of being consistent for me. So what started as a couple boxes a week, We're now talking a couple cases a week now of that stuff moving, which allows me to, right? I'm not getting rich off of that, but it allows me to continually every week buy some more cases of that given product and move it out to customers. Every week I gain a handful more of customers who, a certain percentage of those are buying from me a second time, which allows me continually, each month increase the amount of that particular product that I'm moving. And it's great because that product is available for me to order and restock when I need it. So I can continue scaling that up. It lets me build out how much I'm spending each month with my distributor on total spend, and be able to reliably move this product to customers, have a great experience, who then come back again. So if say it kind of creates this funnel where you provide them a great experience, they buy from you, you buy from your distributor, everybody's happy, the relationship is growing. And the other category, like I said, for example, is Gundam. That's what I've chosen to try to work into. So that's another pillar that I'm building out, right? So that's what I'm talking about, why all these things are kind of interconnected together, right? So just kind of summarize, not having Pokemon allocation can help strengthen your business. It will help you develop skills that you may not develop were the market to be completely different, right? Every market is going to force you to develop different skills. If you're looking to start a business, these are some of the skills and some of the lessons that I had developed, some of the things that I had to learn to create, a strong business. And I'm still, I'm not saying that tomorrow if Pokemon were to suddenly crash, that my business is going to be flourishing, right? There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but I've started laying that framework, and that's what I'm working on. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Right? Difficult markets force better businesses, better decisions on your part, better operational efficiency. So, and so I'll just kind of leave it with this: with businesses that survive difficult markets, usually aren't the ones chasing the most hype. Right? They're the ones that have spent years building relationships, systems, and trust, not just with distributors, but with the customers too. So try to aim to be one of those businesses. So that way you can succeed. Or if you've already started, and you're having success, continue that success and kind of see some of the obstacles and challenges that I kind of had to work through. So that's all I had for this video. Feel free to leave your comments down below. If you have a business, do you agree with some of the things I'm saying? Are there lessons that you've learned? Or if you're looking to start your business, ask questions down below and I will be more than happy to share what knowledge I have. No gatekeeping here. Check out epiclootcollectibles.com, buy my stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.